well welcome. Thanks for taking part in our Learn 365 blog. We're here a little bit different format than usual. We're going to have a conversation about something instead of writing a blog, so Steven's idea. So if you guys can start by sharing your name, what grade you're in, and then what middle school you went to.
Alright, so Steven Santoyo. Went to Lincoln Middle School and I'm a senior now.
Great.
I'm Michael Jardine. I went to River Grove Middle School and I'm a senior.
All right, great. And so we're here to talk about your band.
Yes.
So I'm kind of interested, obviously the name of it's Sleep Academy if you didn't see the merchandise. So I'm kind of interested in how you guys came together and you know where that idea came from and how you two and then the rest of the band came together.
When we started out, it was our freshman year, and Steven and I actually met through the talent show here at Leiden. And I was in a different group and he was playing, he was recording music and performing as himself, which was really cool, and I thought that was so awesome, and we kind of hit it off right away. And he said, well, I have another friend who I've been jamming with, and why don't you come over, we'll all play together.
And this was during your freshman year?
Yes, first year of high school. And I thought that was an awesome idea, so I went to his house and we jammed, and we knew right away that it was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
We had to start something, so started kind of putting pieces together and figured out, I'll play drums, you play guitar, well, you play bass, and started just making music.
Cool. Steven, was that hard for you to let go of that solo career as a freshman in high school and to join a band?
No way, oh my god. I mean, I did my little solo stuff, you know. I'd work on little pieces, and I was kind of doing my own little recording thing back then, too.
Sure.
You know, because I was just going through the internet surfing, seeing little free programs I can get to, record something. Because my dad always had all the microphones and things I can kind of hook up and stuff.
Sure.
So, but, no, I always wanted to be in a band, and just, you know, I was really into Blink back then, freshman year and stuff, and they were a huge influence on me, and I was like, man, I really want that.
Yeah.
So it was perfect because we started off as the whole three-piece and everything, and it was like, all right, this is cool, we're starting something here. You know, I was playing with my dad's band for a little while. I kind of joined in with them, and they let me jam a little bit, but then I started to get something of my own, you know, wanted to hold on to this.
Yeah, very neat. This was freshman that started.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been a long 4 years.
Very good. Okay. So, Steven, can you talk a little bit about the process of the production of music? You know, you talked about earlier your dad has some equipment at home, he's in a band or has been in bands. So can you talk a little bit about the learning process, and because you produced your own album and kind of put all this together as a group, right?
Yeah. Well, basically, I started recording stuff on my dad's Yamaha, studio recording system, you know? It's this big bulky system.
The old way of doing it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So you know, there was 8-bit screen and everything. And, you know, it got these big buttons pressing through, and you just plug in the cords, and you got your mic cords. You had 2 XLR inputs for the mics, or you know whatever, and then you had the 1/4-inch inputs, and you know I'd do everything like that.
Sure.
So I'd go in, record it, and listen back through the tracks, see how it is, and then I'd burn it onto a disc, what I've recorded, everything, all the tracks I had, my vocal tracks, guitar, whatever I wanted to do, really. And then I'd take it to the computer and say it, this was more in the beginning, I'd get a free program online, download it on my computer, and I'd put the CD on, upload all the tracks, and, you know, work at it like that. Because you could EQ and do all the fancy stuff on the system that my dad had, the Yamaha system, but you know, it was just starting to get outdated. So I was like, you know, I like computers, I'm good with computers, I'm like, let's bring it to the computer. And I just upload the tracks.
Great.
And that's kind of how that kick-started, you know? Then, you know, we got the band going, and we're starting to get some songs together. And then last year, we're like, you know, we need to put together a CD. You know, we got a chunk of songs, so when we were both ready to get something out there to the people that they can just listen to. We're not just always, oh, here's an original song live, and this is all you've got to listen to.
Sure.
So we knew right away, too, that if we were going to do it ourselves, we were going to do it right.
Yeah.
So we needed to really do it the most professional way we could possibly do it, which was knock out that recording system.
Yeah.
And we need to get whatever we need to get to go straight to the computer, like the professional people do.
So instead of getting a studio, you still did it all within your houses.
Yeah.
But you did it through a computer instead.
Well, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I had to get
We kind of made the studio.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, this whole situation actually happened that led to getting the studio together. But yeah, so to get it into the computer, we had to get an interface, or it's called an MBox, what I got, and it's just, you know, so you can go directly in, similar to what my dad has. It's got the little inputs like
Sure.
XLR or 1/4-inch inputs and stuff, so you can just go directly in. But the only issue with that was it only has 2 XLR quarter-inch inputs.
You can only
So-
record 2 things at a time.
Yeah, so
When
when
you're
it
a
comes to
3-piece band, not a 2-piece.
well,
Then when you want to record drums too,
Yeah,
Then you
that becomes
have-
an issue.
okay, we can only record these 2 things at once, but I have 8 things that need to be played at once. You can't just record a cymbal and a cymbal at the same time.
Yeah.
yeah, so because you got to have all, what do we use, 8 mics
8.
for the drums.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we actually had to do like kind of a complicated process of like going through mixers and things, and like we went through a mixer and out of the mixer into my dad's system.
And
That's
then,
how it was, right?
yeah, and then from that system, we burned a CD of all the drums, took it in the computer, and then separated it.
Yeah.
So how did you guys figure this out? Was it all trial and error, or were you going to the internet and figuring things out, talking to people?
Well,
He read a lot. He looked
Yeah.
up. I gotta give him credit because he really took the reins on being like a official
and
producer,
understanding how to do that.
taking the time to.
Where
learn.
did the information come from mainly?
Google. Best source out there.
Yeah. So just
Yeah.
searching online and finding tutorials and
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically going on YouTube and I'd look up like specifically what I'm looking for. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes they get like terrible results. You're like, oh, well,
Yeah.
that's not what it is. Or,
yeah.
Or I would look at articles on Google. I just kind of give them a brief thing of what I'm looking for. And
Sure.
try to find what's closest to it, or just anything in general. I'd just type in like possibly like things you can learn in the studio, or how to
Mhm.
EQ, or if I came across a specific problem while like editing or something,
Mhm.
I'd look up exactly what I'm having an issue with,
Gotcha.
and then I'd try to find like even something as simple as Yahoo Answers.
Yeah.
If someone could just spit something out at me
Yeah.
and that helps, then okay, I'll take it.
So you're getting pretty good at searching for those specific things.
Yeah, but I read mostly articles.
Yeah.
A lot of articles, and I
Mhm.
just page after page, and
Yeah.
another site, left and right. It's crazy, and a lot of videos too. YouTube videos really help. A lot of people are like, they have like a bunch of sites with a lot of tutorials to learn this stuff.
So have you contributed back then? Because it's interesting because it becomes like a community online, right? Where
Yeah.
you're learning from that. So have you kind of shared some things back, or have you posted your answers, or kind of how you figured something out on any of those videos, or you just take it all?
Nah, I was pretty greedy. I kept it all to myself.
Well, I just think it's interesting because now you're aware of a lot of those things.
Yeah.
So I think at some point you might, kind of push some of that information.
Well, I'd love to teach other people what I've
Yeah.
learned. Nope, like that's awesome. I really like doing
He's
that.
taught me a lot actually.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how it works.
I don't think I have the time to like spit it out online,
Sure.
type things up,
Yeah.
same with the blog.
Exactly.
I don't really necessarily have the time to be writing.
Yeah,
like,
That's why we're on video.
Which is why we're talking.
Yeah. I mean, so it's just like if you want to learn or know
Yeah.
things, feel free, come ask me. I love talking about it.
Good.
I love the whole studio process and everything, the programs you use and
Mhm.
what you got to do and how to mix exactly. And it's awesome. There's a lot to learn, and there's still more that I could,
Yeah.
a lot more that I can learn. I've got reasonable knowledge of it, and experience.
Good. Very good.
But further from that, then we got, after recording everything basically and going through my dad's Yamaha
Mhm.
system, bringing the guitar tracks and everything, we just went directly into the M box because you just needed one mic up against a guitar amp or something.
Yeah, everything past drums, you're only doing one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Sure.
That was exactly what we
Simplifies it.
needed.
Yeah.
So it just all went into the program Cubase. That was my main program. That I was using.
Cubase.
Yeah, Cubase, be sure of that. But I thought about Pro Tools, but it was just being a pain to get on my computer, so I went
Yeah.
with Cubase. And I was already kind of used to it, so
Sure.
I started working with that. Then like I said, once I got on Cubase, that's where I really did a lot of my reading about.
That's where the magic happens.
Yeah,
Cubase is where you can make like miracles. happen.
you record everything. You're like, oh, that sounds cool. Something's
Yeah.
starting to come together. But when you touch it all up and you do the EQ process,
Yeah.
and you make everything sound pretty, like that's what really brings it out.
Yeah. It sounds like an actual studio album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything just blends together. You got all the volumes together.
Yeah.
So with equalization, it's basically a map ranging from 0 to about, I think, 24,000 kilohertz.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got decibels, which are your volume, and they usually go from negative 24 decibels to 24 decibels.
Sure.
So then you've got this little map planned out, and basically going across kilohertz, each section has its own little touch to it. Like you got
Mhm.
the lower the kilohertz, obviously the lower frequencies, and that's really really important for things like kick drum
Mm-hmm.
and bass because that's all the low end, and that's all what the lower kilohertz is or hertz are.
Sure.
So you basically, depending on what sound you get, you gotta work with the map. You know, if something's too bassy, then you want to cut. So you want to bring the decibels below. And if something's not bassy enough, or you want to kick the boost, then you gotta gain. You know, add decibels.
Now, are these all things you picked up online too, or is this more trial and error at this point when you're working with the equalization?
Both.
Yeah.
Trial and error and a lot of YouTube.
Great.
YouTube really helped.
Another great thing that Cubase has is when you finally get that EQ just right, and you're like, okay, that's what I want to use for guitar for the whole CD. You set that as a preset, so
you
that
can't
when
even map it out.
when you start a new song, you come back and you instead of having to get that same tone again, you just click one button, brings
It
all
starts
your
right there at least.
Exactly.
Another huge thing I'd say is panning, which is just simply left and right, you know, and how far you want something to be to the left or to the right.
Yeah.
And something that was huge to any of you who might be doing some studio stuff, I didn't really know how to get the guitars to sound fuller, you know, when I'm trying to get a whole band mix. And it took me a little while, but then I realized, I'm like, how are they getting that that left and right sound fullness of the electric guitars in any song? And what you got to do basically is you take one of your guitar tracks, or the one you recorded, mix it down, EQ, whatever you want to do to it, you know, put any reverb, processing, whatever. Then you duplicate the track, and you take both of the tracks, or you take one of them, and you put it off.
So if the song starts right here, if this one's left and this one's right, you want to move this one over just a couple, less than a second.
Yeah.
So when you're hearing it, it's not at this exact same time, but it's slightly
that
off.
full sound.
And then
and then
That's interesting.
and then you get a little bit of a separation in there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you leave them both center, then it's gonna sound weird.
Yeah.
So what you do is you pan one, depending on how far you want it. I mean, I always just go all the way left, all the way right. You know, hard left, hard right, 100%. So then you get the fullness. You know, you just get that slight bit of off timingness.
it makes it sound human. Because when two guitars are playing together, you're never going to be exactly the same.
Sure. Very interesting. Well, I think with the time we have left, let's talk a little bit about the band name. So your band name is Sleep Academy.
Yes.
And then the album name is District 212. So we're Leiden School District 212. So I think maybe there's some connection there. I'm not sure. But maybe, Michael, you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Maybe the band name, the album name, where that all came from.
With our CD, it's kind of, when we started writing the original songs, we started to kind of listen to them in a certain order and realized, okay, we could tell a really good story with these songs. And as you progress through the CD, you kind of start off, the first song on the CD is called Building the Foundation to Support Myself. And we thought, okay, that's the song that's going to set the tone for the whole CD.
Sure.
And you kind of start off with this kid who's not very happy and he gets picked on and he doesn't really know who he is and people don't want him to be who he is and he's getting picked on and he kind of finally sits down and realizes, like, I'm going to be myself. And you can accept it, and then you move it out through the whole CD, through this whole almost like high school type concept, where you start to realize, like, you know, high school is where I'm going to figure out who I am, and then that's going to set the tone for the rest of my life. And with District 212, we felt that was appropriate because it's not so much about the school, but we kind of created our own little world called District 212, kind of like a post-apocalyptic like town somewhere where these kids are still going to school and they're still like picking on each other and there's still the same things that we experience today, but this kid's just being bullied and he wants to like move on with his life. And District 212 is the place where he learns this is who I'm going to be.
Now, is the district concept kind of taken from the books,
The
Hunger Games too?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're kind of borrowing from that idea as well as obviously the school district concept and going on from there.
Yep.
All right, great. Well, hey guys, thank you so much today. I think it's really interesting to hear this perspective and see, and kind of the idea of me talking behind you is that there's a lot of learning that goes beyond the school. And I think it's neat that maybe if the school's a little bit a part of it, but I think it's neat to see all the work that you guys put into this and all the learning that happened outside the school. It really has nothing to do with the traditional classroom. So thank you so much, and everybody check out Sleep Academy. Very cool.
If you guys...
Great.
Yeah, thank you. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to contact either me or Steven. We're happy to answer any questions you might have. And if you want to hear our CD District 212, feel free to go to soundcloud.com/sleepacademy. The whole thing's there, totally free. Thanks for watching, guys.